time is it there? You must be. Thanks for staying up late for me.
Oh, not at all. It's just like 8 p.m.
Oh, yeah. It's still early here. How are things going over there? It seems devastating. Sounds devastating.
I know it kind of is. I keep away from the news a lot, but I'm still aware of like the basic stuff. And I think what's more important is I'm praying that things get okay really quickly and, being there for friends more than, like just criticizing the country and the government. Like I'm really not into that. So it's kind of okay. How are things at your end?
Things are, from a COVID standpoint, things are looking up a little, things are trying to open up. But yeah, it's been a really challenging year and a half for all of us. And it's the state of our world is, yeah, like you said, I think you said it so perfectly. We are all a global community. We're in this together. I'm done pointing fingers. Like, there's so many things that are systematically broken with our government. I'm sure it's the same with yours. Like, let's just stop being stuck in the past. Let's all get some of these older, more old school mentalities, boomers, if you will, not push them out, but guys, let's come together and figure out a fucking better solution for ourselves and our children. We can't continue on this trajectory. So that's where I'm at with everything, and just trying to focus on the positive, and similarly to you, put myself out there and build things and communities that are going to help make a positive impact, even if it's a small one, in some way, shape, or form, and controlling what you can control.
I think that's the right mindset to have at this time. And how is everyone at home? Is everyone safe and sound?
Everyone's safe and sound. Yep. I have, we didn't have my in-laws had COVID, but they were asymptomatic, and I have a 2-year-old and he's thriving and doing great. And yeah, we thankfully we didn't lose anyone super close to us, and everyone's healthy. But what about you? How's your family doing and your closest peeps?
Yeah, thankfully, didn't touch anyone at all. So super happy. I feel like all of us pray a lot and, try to keep ourselves really safe and, be prudent about how the whole situation is. So that's good. Are you guys in lockdown?
We're not. We are. So in general, the states, things are opening up. The CDC lifted, if you've been vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask anymore. So we'll see. I have a feeling they're saying New York City is going to be the summer of sex, because people just everyone's finally out at restaurants and bars and we can touch each other. But no, things are starting to feel a little bit more normal, whatever this new normal is. Most companies are still working from home. Big banks and financial institutions seem to be going back in the next few weeks, but everyone else that I've spoken with, they're still working from home indefinitely. So we'll see. You guys haven't been on lockdown at all, have you?
We are.
Yeah, okay. Well, it took a while, right?
Last year it was pretty quick after the whole pandemic thing, but this time we actually had a national holiday, which was Holi. And everything was super fine till then, but Holi is where you play colors and touch each other, and right after that festival is when shit went down. So since then we've been on a lockdown since the rates were going really crazy. So hopefully that opens and things get better by the next month. So it
seems like for better or worse, it does seem like the lockdowns are what does help
100%
move things forward. It's so tough, but that seems expedited as much as you can, I guess. But so how did you find me? Tell me. This is so, I love, especially after a COVID world. I'm so grateful to be connecting with other women, especially someone on the other side of the world. So tell me how you stumbled upon me, what we're talking about today, all the fun things.
Yes. I started the podcast basically to establish a really solid network, and I learned most of my knowledge that I have is from Gary Vee and other business leaders, and not just first-rate industry leaders, but also amazing human beings. And he always spoke about the biggest asset that you'll ever create in your life is the relationships you build with people in your network. And that's how the podcast came about. And since I was really scared to connect with people, I started finding people in Gary's community, because everyone was just nicer and kinder, and it was so safe to speak with them. And I think that's how I stumbled upon you in Gary's community. And I would just shoot a DM to about 50 people, and one person ends up saying yes. So that's how we get the meeting done.
It's yeah. You got me, for better or worse. Yeah, no, I love that. I'm in a similar place in my career right now, reaching out to people. So I love it.
I wanted to know what made you say yes.
So a few things. I am So a little background on me. I actually have worked very closely with Gary. Have spent most of my career in digital media and advertising. And my last full-time job, I started my own business a year and a half ago, but I was on the founding team of PureWow, which is a women's lifestyle digital media company. About 5 years in there, back in 2018, Gary actually acquired PureWow, and that was an awesome experience. We launched Gallery Media Group, which is the holding company of a series of digital media brands. During my 2 years working with them, we launched 1:37 p.m., the Male to Focus brand, a podcast company, the Instagram portfolio, etc. And that was wonderful. I've always, similarly to you, I've followed Gary for years. I interviewed so long ago at Vayner. I didn't get the job, so it's just so funny how life serendipitously works out. But yeah, so I stayed there 2 years after the acquisition, and it was an awesome experience, especially being within the four walls, having FaceTime with him and getting to understand the Vayner business model a bit more, etc. But I always really loved and thrived in the early stage startup environments. And of course, as we got bigger, we were able to maintain some of that startup culture and that feel. But as things get bigger, businesses have to get more corporate. So I was rounding my 7 years there, and that's a long time to be anywhere, but I also always felt like, because I had really done well in the startup environment, that I wanted to take a stab at entrepreneurship. So I started my own branding and digital marketing consultancy, which I've had for about a year and a half now, and that's been an amazing experience, and I've had a lot of success with it. But not that I didn't love it. I'm so grateful that I've been able to work with clients and help them build things and bring their brands and companies and whatever growth looks like, bring that all to life. But in consulting, you're bringing other people and brands value, which so much I do appreciate and love. In the digital landscape, specifically around blockchain, NFTs, smart contracts. I personally believe that we are in the early stages of a digital revolution. I think that these technologies are going to transform the digital ecosystem as we know it today. TBD on what that will look like, but this was an intersection, that whole area, emerging area, was an intersection of a lot of passion points of mine. So I am in the early stages of launching my next venture, which is a company called Unblocked, and it's a platform and community for women change seekers and creators that are working together to build a brighter, more equitable digital future. So our mission is pretty simple. It is to, through education, community connection, contextualize these emerging digital trends for women and our allies, like NFTs, blockchain, smart contracts, with the intent of giving women the power to, and again, our allies, the power to do with them what they see fit and work together to build this digital future and not let history repeat itself, where we have a bunch of dudes in finance and tech building, the future. So to bring it full circle, you reached out during this early stage build time, where I'm also looking to expand my community of female entrepreneurs and creators. One of the things that I love the most about the time that we're living in, and I'm so grateful for, is that while technology and social media, I think, has done some things with our brains, and there's certainly some stuff that we're learning is maybe not great about it, it's given us access and connection to literally use people like Gary Vee or Oprah or Deepak or Gabby Bernstein. Like, I joke and say they're all my coaches. Like, I don't know them personally, but I am able to learn from them and grow and use their tools in their toolkit, which is invaluable. And then more importantly, connect with people like you and have this one-on-one relationship, whether we're building a company, a community, a friendship, etc., to remove assumptions out of everything. And that's what I really want to do with the community I'm building, is connect with other women and truly understand what we all need and want to build the future for ourselves and future generations. So you reached out at the perfect time, and I was like, cool, someone else wants to talk to me. Let's do it. So here we are.
Yeah, I think Gary actually speaks so much about the serendipity of the moment. You really don't know where people are in their life, what one yes might lead to, and what opportunities lead to the next. So this is the perfect example for that. And hearing that story, I have so many questions. And I think first I want to get started with, I saw that you worked with PureWow for like almost 6 years. How did you get started with that journey, and how was it like, your experience?
So it was one of the best chapters in my life. I'm only in my early 30s. So it was, I really came into my own and found myself there, and my confidence and what I wanted to do when I grew up. But to answer your first question, how did I find it? I had worked in the New York media and tech scene the years prior, started at the Weather Channel on the advertising front, very corporate. I learned so much, and I think there's so many valuable skills, especially being right out of university or college, working in a corporate environment, at least for me, to kind of learn the right way to structure an email and all those things that become less important, I think, the more you move up in your career. But and then I went to a company that was Specific Media at the time. It's now Viant Media, ad tech, learned everything under the sun about digital. And had a startup culture, and given their growth stage, startup culture and mentality, but they had a lot of funding, and so they operated like a more mature company. But I slowly kind of went more into the startup early stage environment, and I had a gut instinct that the startup environment was better suited for my wiring. It was always very confusing to me in corporate America when I'd raise my hand and try to ask for more responsibility or be curious and learn and add value wherever I could. You weren't always met with something in return to be able to run with that, just given for all the reasons. But so I told myself I wanted to start working in a startup. It was when the startup scene in New York City specifically was really starting to grow and blow up, and I got connected. Kind of like everything in my life, I've always really, really valued my network, not from a networking standpoint, but just I love connecting with people. I'm so curious. I love learning. I love hearing about people's stories. And so I've always been kind of good leveraging my network, and I got connected through someone to the VP of sales at the time at PureWow. There was 8 employees, I think, and it was a lateral move. We hit it off, but I was like, they didn't have a website. They were email only at the time. I didn't know if I was getting scammed, because perception's reality sometimes. Met the founder, Ryan Harwood, and I always joke with him that the first time I interviewed, I was had come off the back of I had 3 interviews before I met with him. And again, I didn't think it was going to be anything. I wasn't excited about it. So I was so flustered all over the place meeting him, didn't get the job. And they ended up, another position opened up a few weeks later, and I met with him again. I was in a better headspace, and I got the job. It was a lateral move. I was very torn about taking it because, living in New York City isn't cheap, and you're always looking to make a bit more money to subsidize your lifestyle.
Where were you earlier?
Where was I?
Before New York.
I grew up in Boston, and I was at college. I went to the University of Vermont. So I was fresh out of school, which is always, I can't even believe I moved to New York without knowing anyone. You look back at your younger years, and it's good you're bold and naive and you don't know what the world can do. Just kidding.
It's a leverage for you to take the risk, because if you actually know what it takes, you might be too scared to even, say so.
Exactly. But so yeah, I started out as an account manager on the sales side, and my instincts were right. I raised my hand. It was very early stage startup. I was able to bring a lot of value from my other experience, and slowly but surely, my role evolved more into a product as we were creating the website and custom content experiences in the form of microsites for advertising partners. And fast forward to the end of my tenure, when I left, I was the VP of product for Gallery Media Group, and I was responsible for everything you visually saw across all of the brands, as well as how the content got produced. So whether that was the proprietary CMSs that we were creating and publishing the content in, to working with the design team that I oversaw to bring to life the 137 branding, to all the people operations, the content people operations, to make it the well-oiled machine it was to support content production at scale across a series of media brands. So yeah, it was a magical moment in time. It was, so many businesses talk about culture, and we all know the importance of culture and having company values, but I think a lot of us assume that if you just come up with that list, then you're going to have good culture and you're going to have good values. And the most magical and the strongest company cultures, from my experience, are the ones that truly happen organically. It's the right hires at the right time and everyone collaborating and vibing in the right way with each other to build this, to inform and build the future culture. And we did that organically, and we were just a lot of younger kids at the time with a vision and a lot of passion. And it also was new. It was the wave of new media, which was really fun, especially for, I think, that myself and people we hired that were like, okay, well, we don't know. We need to find a new way to monetize, or we need to figure out how to start creating, a bajillion Instagram posts a day. Yeah. And we didn't know better. So we didn't have a playbook. And I think we are living in a time where almost no one has playbooks for anything. And if you can kind of lean into that, which at the time we did, I think you can have a lot of success and fun doing it. And that was really my experience there. We were just figuring it out together, and thankfully it all worked out, and we made built something awesome and made some really great relationships along the way.
I know. How amazing is that? How was your experience working so closely with Ryan? Because it's such a small team. It's a very different experience working in a 900 employee company versus working closely together with 6 or 8 or 10 people, especially at such an early age. And PureWow was actually one of the very few digital media companies that were profitable. So it was really cool. How was the experience working so closely with them?
It was awesome. Ryan is one of my favorite humans. He was my manager for almost my entire tenure there, which, I am so grateful that I was able to have that direct experience and learn from him and get his advice. And him and Mary Kate, who was the editor-in-chief for most of the time. I mean, I had so many people that helped me along the way, whether they were people, direct reports, or people above me. But they, as I said earlier, they gave me the confidence and support that at that time in my life I really needed to get to that next level. And he always gave me the guidance and the structure that I needed at that time, and was always so open and honest with me if I was maybe needed to be reeled in a little bit, or give me really good feedback, whatever it might be, but always gave me the autonomy and support to spread my wings and really run with things. And for that, I will be forever grateful. He's one of the kindest, sweetest guys that I know, and I have nothing but great things to say about working with him, as well as the friendship that we've over the years has evolved.
Yeah. And what would you say one of the biggest things that you learned working over there?
That's a great question. So many. The value in team, and I'm a huge collaborator. I believe that the best ideas are never from one brain. It's when all the brains can work together and riff off each other. But that company wouldn't have been what it was if it wasn't for every person on that team that happened, whether they were there forever or came in for 6 months or a year. You can't do it alone. And we saw that firsthand. And as someone now that is building businesses of my own, it's something I'm so grateful for that time. And it's something that's constantly top of mind. Again, it's not just it's much easier said. It's very hard to find the right people. It's very hard to find the right people for that moment in time at your company. And based on the other players they're going to be working with, as well as, especially early stage versus more mature, and there's a whole spectrum here. sometimes you need an expert, but for most of our time there, I always said I hired generalists because people needed to wear so many hats. And yeah, I was able to firsthand garner a lot of learnings on do's and don'ts from a hiring standpoint, with the intent of ultimately building a team that really works at that moment, can build the symphony, if you will, that, you know, you have the conductor and then you have everyone needs to be playing in sync together. I was going to say choreography. I was like, that's the wrong word. That's not it. Symphony, choir.
I get it. It's so difficult because everyone is so dynamic. Everyone's coming from different, not part of the world, but still like different stories. But to bring everyone together for a common purpose requires a great leader and a great culture, like you said. And only that's when everyone has this space, but also discipline, you know, to exercise their talents to the best. So that's really extraordinary for.
Yeah, and I think another thing from Ryan on down, and Gary, this certainly speaks true to him, is just this humility, authenticity, honesty, transparency. Those were all things that do start from the top, and they were, in the best of times, they were so woven into the fabric of the culture and everyone that worked there.
That's amazing. I have a question, but I want to know what your tattoo means.
Oh my gosh, I always forget I have it. So it's initials. It's DDT. So my name is Dayna. My husband's last name is DeStefano. I haven't legally changed my name yet. It's been almost 5 years. Don't tell anyone. Duke is our French bulldog, which I know it's a little crazy. I won't get all of our dogs tattooed on me, but he's like our first baby. He's part of the fam. So like Dayna/Nick, DeStef, us as a collective. My dog Theodore is my son, and then God willing, I have more babes. I'll add their first initial.
Oh, it's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, I always wanted one, but I didn't want one to get one. So yeah, this one I designed it myself. It's nothing really crazy. It's just a script font. But do you have any tattoos?
I do. I have a moon over here.
Nice.
I got it for his birthday, and I only got it because I fell in love with the song. It was called Moonchild, and I was like, oh my god, this is me. And I always wanted to get a tattoo like all of us do, but I wanted it to be something meaningful. And I was in love with the artist. I was in love with that song, and it was my birthday, and it seemed like a great. It just felt perfect, and I went ahead and did it.
I love it. And are you happy with it? Does it still feel right?
Yeah, it's actually here. I really like that. Not a lot of people get to see. It's only for like me, and so many times I even forget it because I thought I'd get sick of it. So whenever I do want to admire it, I have to take special extra efforts, pull up my hand and see it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny because people say that you get addicted once you get one. And I was like, I don't get that. Like, I just want one. I just want a little thing. But of course I got it. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I kind of want one here and here and here.
Are you more of like, you think you'll ever get like a big tattoo where, you would?
So the only other place that I'm jonesing for it is like, I want a little quote, something right here. But the thing that's tricky is like, they wouldn't do this any smaller. What? So, because it fades really fast. They'll do anything, but they don't recommend you go past a certain point. And so, it comes down to like the right thing. What I would like, so the concept of yin and yang is, I'm a Gemini, paradox. I find all of that fascinating. It's very true to who I am, and I think the world we live in. But so I love the concept of yin and yang, but I don't visually love the yin yang. So I've been trying to think of a way that I can incorporate the premise of yin yang in a way that I visually like. But we'll see. One thing at a time. You think you'll get some more?
100%. I'm so like,
I love it.
But I'm also like super scared, but I really want to be very, very thoughtful about it because it's for life. So I don't want my youthful impulse to be something I regret when I grow up. So
yeah, no, I'm the same, and that's where I don't think I'll ever get it anywhere like, a sleeve or anything.
Yeah.
Something just that I can hide, especially if I'm like, with this spot, if I'm older, I can get a nice one piece. Like if I'm 80 and don't want people to see it at all.
Okay, okay. One question we ask everyone on the podcast. Maybe it's a little too early for it, but I'm gonna ask you
Please.
anyway. It is, are you happy?
Oh, that's a good one. So, yes, I personally try to reframe the term happiness. I think, but yes, right, I am happy right now. There's lots going on, and I think one blessing with COVID for all of us, but myself, I can only speak my own experience, was I'm very focused on my own growth and on my own happiness, and really focusing on the things. I believe that external factors are never going to make you allow you to live your best life and allow you to be happy. So I've been doing a lot of work to really identify some of my old patterning things, ego things, exterior things, affirmation, etc. All these things that the more inward I went, the deeper I went into my meditation practice and all these other spiritual tools, etc. The more I've been able to kind of be the observer and identify those things that really have nothing to do with me. It shouldn't, if we didn't hit it off today and this didn't go well, I don't want it to ruin my whole day. So I digress a little bit, but yes, I am happy, but I put in a whole lot of work to be in this space, and it's not every day. Like some days I wake up super anxious, and that's when I'm trying to be more consistent. Like this morning I was running out the door and I was like, it's fine, I'm not gonna meditate today, like I'll do it when I get to the office. And then I literally threw my backpack down. I was like, just sit for 20 minutes, everything will go better. You just take a deep breath. So yes, I am, but I'll text you in an hour and I could have something happen and I'm like, fuck this.
Because that I love that answer, because it actually requires a lot of work to be happy. I was questioning that myself, where I felt really entitled to be happy. I'm like, I should be happy, like what the hell? I felt so offended when my day would be wrong. But it's actually takes a lot of work, and because you know that it takes a lot of work, you feel like you're in control and you feel like you're accountable. So whenever your day does not go right, that I need to just take some time by myself and get it together, and I'll be back exactly where I need to be, instead of, like you said, not depending on external outcomes or events or environment. So that makes a lot of sense.
Another word that has been one of my mantras, if you will, is just the concept of surrender. Like, do we really have control over anything? And as someone that's type A and likes to control things, I would say, if we're talking about masculine and feminine energy that we all have, this whole world is made up of, I skew a bit more masculine. It's why I've had the success I've had. Not that I'm like suggest whatever.
No, I get it.
Trying to balance that out, because it's, even if there's a day that I've been walking for an hour it's because it's been getting nice here, and it's made it not being in offices. It's been, I don't remember in my whole career having the weather ever impacting my ability to focus in such a big way. But so I've been walking for an hour, and there's a lot of value that brings for me, all the obvious reasons. But the first 2, 3, 4 days I was doing this, I was having this like acute anxiety while I'm walking, because I'm like, I feel like I need to be just like on my computer checking off, and just redefining what is productive, what is success. Like, success is not all awards, promotions, financial compensation. It's a bit more balanced with that yin and yang. And so, especially being in New York for 10 years, I was go, and I'm trying to soften those things out a little bit, and it's been work, but I think it's like anything else. Nothing is easy in life. Nothing amazing comes easy most of the time, and change takes work, and it's hard, and it is uncomfortable most of the time, and I'm just trying to lean into it, and some days it's easier than others, but it's the work in progress, or at least my work in progress.
Well, I'm really proud of you, and I'm really happy that you were able to, make those changes.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself. Is this a full-time job? What are you hoping? what are your dreams with what you're doing right now? And if I can help with anything, please let me know.
Of course, you're amazing. So how all of this started was I had a really bad experience at school, and I was really bullied by my teachers and stuff. And I think that is where I lost a lot of my, not interest, but belief in the formal education system. And being in India, and especially just whole of Asia, school is life. Like there's nothing beyond your grades, your percentage and whatnot. But having that experience at school, and when internet was coming into place, I started discovering people like Gary and YouTube and so much stuff. I decided that I wanted to build my wealth and my career on a very unconventional path. And when I saw that I was being bullied, I saw that it wasn't just me, but there was so many other kids, who would end up taking their lives for not having attendance and whatnot. So I wanted to set an example for the youth that there's so much out there in the world than just formal education. And I started building up on this. When Gary spoke about, you should do a podcast, or, you should do this and that. I did not know what I was good at, but I knew that I was going to bleed from my eyes and work hard and build up my work ethic and build up things like discipline, perseverance, and build my people skills. And before I'll know it, I'll meet the right opportunity. Till the time, I was just taking this time to prepare myself and train myself. And I had decided to move to LA, but since the pandemic happened, all of those plans were on hold. But I actually recently applied because it's the pandemic. Great things were happening on the other end also, where a lot of companies were hiring remotely. So I applied to VaynerMedia, and I got in the first round. And I'm yet to hear back from them, probably next week or something. So I hope that goes well. And I also applied to Gary Media Group because I found out about them through VaynerMedia, and they were looking for a person to run their podcast for 1:37 p.m. So I submitted my applications for that also last week. And right now I'm just really looking to, I love people and I love working in teams. And like you said, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. I think I have a lot of entrepreneurial tendencies, but I'm not one. I actually want people to guide me, and then I'll show up my leadership skills. I feel like there's a huge difference between being a leader and being an entrepreneur. I do have a lot of leadership qualities, and I see myself progressing there. Like I love taking care of people and stuff. So right now I'm in a place where I'm kind of exhausted working all by myself. Like it's
feel you, girl.
So I'm really looking for work, really looking forward to work with a team and apply myself and show the world what I have to offer, and continue to learn and grow. So that's where I'm kind of like finding my path.
So a few things. One, if you want to send me this, you'll probably edit this, but if you want to send me the jobs you applied for, one of my close friends runs the gallery podcast department. So I don't know if I can't obviously promise anything, but I'm happy to just shoot him a note. I don't know many people at Vayner at this point, but any gallery roles, just email me. I'll make sure you have it after this. But no, I'm really proud of you. I think there's so many people, I'm assuming you're a little bit younger than me, like so many people 20. Oh yeah, you're a babe. But yeah, you're sitting pretty, girl. And but I think a lot of people don't, especially younger generations. I'm like aging myself. I'm acting like I'm like a 60-year-old, but people. I even saw it. I'm 34, turning 34 next month, and I even saw it. Like I see it now. A lot of people in their early 20s, because we have the Garys, and people assume that there's like this overnight success with these tech companies. And then they also see these TikTok stars that are building multi-million, like some of them have music careers, they're building huge brands off the back of themselves. And like, that's an amazing opportunity and something that if that's what you want, lean into it. But it's getting clear on who you are, what the impact is you're trying to make. And also being able to be honest and humble with yourself. I'm like, I want to get more experience. I look back every year, I've always had so many business ideas. I've never executed any of them. Some of them have become multi-million, or billion-dollar companies. And I'm not saying I could have executed that way, but I wasn't ready. Until this moment, even this new company, I'm like, holy shit, like the universe, who knows where this will go, but at no other point in my career was I ready. I needed that experience working with Ryan, working with Gary, managing, becoming a leader, getting confident in my leadership skills. Like even as a creator, I'm very very balanced right brain, left brain. And so much of my career, I was in more analytical account management, those types of roles. And I always said I wasn't creative because society has told me that you're creative or a creator if you're an artist or a painter or a sculptor. And I never was those things. And then designers fell on my lap to manage, and I got into product randomly. And slowly my confidence built there and built there and built there. Then I had my own business and you have to do everything. And I was like, okay, I joke and call myself designer Dayna. I can hold my own. And now I'm confident there, but like now I'm building a creator community. Like I couldn't have done this without all of those things happening over the last 10 years, you know? So I am so happy to see how you're thinking about it and how wise you are. And if I can help honestly in any ways, you let me know. I'd love to also keep you posted on, you're a creator. So I'd love to keep chatting. We can chat separately or we can talk about it now if you'd like. But I'd love to set up another meeting just to kind of hear about some of how you're currently, the pros and cons of the internet for you as it pertains to being a creator, if you're excited at all about the emerging technologies like NFTs, blockchains, etc. So this is, I don't want to hijack your podcast, but let's set up time separately to chat.
This is as much of your episode as it's mine, so please.
Well, you know your audience. That's my whole thing with the reason that I'm, as I said earlier, I'm really jazzed to be living in a time where we can build things together and we don't have to make assumptions about what people want and how it should be built, etc. But one of the things that I'm really curious with all creators, or I believe wholeheartedly in, is creators know their audience better than anyone. So I think for me, I'm not excited about what we've seen to date in the NFT space. It's $1 billion business. I got nothing but love and respect for it. But I don't really I don't want to spend $100,000 on a digital asset that's going to sit on yet. And I think what Gary's brilliant, how he's thinking about it, so smart. But like for me, what I want, one of the questions I'm asking all creators, female creators, is what do you think your audience would want? What is a version of an NFT? Here's what they are. Here's all the millions of potential applications. What does your audience want? And building them the community and eventually the tools and a platform to easily be able to say like, oh, I'm X, Y, and Z person, my audience, I'm a cookbook author, my audience will want a NFT version of this new recipe from my cookbook. So they can have, there will only be 10 in circulation. I'm Chrissy Teigen maybe. You know what I'm saying? So is there, I'd love to hear from you. Have you talked to your audience about, the future of digital at all? Are there any things from an NFT standpoint that you think you could create that would be of value to your audience?
I think I haven't spoken about it yet, but I do keep, I'm still in the stage where I was educating my own self before I really wanted to.
It's a lot.
Yes, but I constantly, anything that I would get value from and that was really simple to understand, I would keep on sharing those posts so that people also are in the same headspace as I am.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I understood about NFT was in terms of IP and access.
Yeah.
NFT can be used as tokens like Gary did. You have my NFT. What that means for you is you get access to me. Instead of buying a course, instead of paying me something, instead of buying a merch, here's a ticket for you to get access to me, to spend time with me or to have a podcast with me. It's IP in terms of I am building my life and I'm building my career online as a creator. And if today my value is worth 10, 5 years down the line, if you believe in me, it's going to be worth 100. And that is like for you to hold stocks in a company, like investing early. So that's how I look at NFT in that zone. What I don't understand a lot about is crypto, and I do believe in it. Like there's a place for it, maybe just for me. I read a lot about Bitcoin and stuff, but I feel like it's just it's dog food one day, it's caviar the next. Like you really don't know where it lies. So that's the only dicey thing about NFT is how you buy it from me right now. Yeah. But it anyway is stored in the blockchain and stuff. So it's not like, I can swipe my card and get it. That's the only thing that I'm trying to educate myself. I do believe in NFTs and they'll be huge and huge. Like Gary said, they'll be like everyone having a social media handle or everyone having a website. Yeah. So I think NFT will do But I remember I was watching this amazing podcast called No Jumper, which has FaZe Banks, who is the CEO of this huge gaming company called FaZe Clan. And he was speaking about now he's turning for influencers, the biggest revenue stream was having brand deals, 20, 30 is a lot of money for a brand deal. But now he's saying there are millionaires and billionaires trying to invest in influencers as IP because they see that 15 years down the line, like people can take companies public and issue an IPO in influencer's name. People would take them public and issue shares in their name. That is obviously this is way ahead of time. But the investing now is how they're doing it. They're like, I'm like how labels sign artists. Like I'm going to give you an advance and I take 5% or 10% of your lifetime income or, for the next 20 or 30 years. So I feel like anything, wherever we're pivoting, is in the creator space because creators are storytellers and they are people who are much more connected to an audience than an actor because we're connected to them as me. I'm not a product of someone else. So I very, very much believe in the creator space, in the digital space, in the NFT space. I just feel like the way we're moving might change. The destination is the same, the intention is the same. So I feel that's what it is at.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. I agree wholeheartedly. What I say often when I'm talking about this is to help people understand this is what is the internet, the modern day internet, what is it comprised of? Content. Who creates that content? Individual creators for the most part. And yes, we have influencer marketing. Yes, creators, the big four tech companies have given them audience, but a lot of the most successful businesses today, Gary's an example, but there's plenty of female entrepreneurs like, Something Navy, Ariel Charnas, for example. These people, some of the most successful businesses and brands today are built off of the back of a person. There's so much power in that because, again, these one-on-one devices, these platforms, we all now expect authenticity and we want to know the person behind that brand or that content. And for better or worse, the way the internet and the companies that power it monetize, it is an eyeball, it's a traffic game or we sell data off of these eyeballs, and that's well and good, but we have been saying creator economy for a few years now, but the creators are being screwed. They don't own their content, and they sure as hell are not making as much money off of it as these companies are. An example, do you follow Chloe Wade? Mm-mm. She's a very well-known female poet. You probably would, if you go to her Instagram, you might recognize her style. It's that she does her quotes and poems on Instagram because often it gets a lot of reposts, but she's wonderful, so talented, her work is amazing, but let's look at someone like her. It's similar for you. She uses social media to build an audience and a community, and then she uses that as a marketing tool to sell a book or tickets or whatever when the timing is right. But so much of that is just value to her, bringing value to the community. And there's times she will create a custom Instagram post or whatever that is a short poem or a quote of hers, and it could get shared 500,000 times. She's not doing it to make money, but someone's making money off of that. That's her art, that's her work. So I believe, similarly to you said, I think I'm so with you with the IP side of this. I also think the resale market is fascinating as it pertains to NFTs, and it's going to elevate things. But ultimately, I want to figure out how to build this technology at scale so we can give the individual creators ownership over their assets and the ability to ownership in perpetuity and the ability to monetize however the hell they see fit, when they see fit. And I think you're right. Like, I'm also cryptocurrency, like that it's going to be the wild, wild west. There's so much market manipulation happening. Like, I think it's going to be the future in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that looks like. I think if anyone's telling you they know the future on any of this, you should run. They're lying to you. But blockchain is, the more we can have the blockchain technology be the underbelly of the internet, and we're not that far off. You're starting to see companies like PayPal support it. That's all the blockchain infrastructure, regardless of the cryptocurrency. The more that can be at the underbelly, the more we can have NFTs be, and that technology be more accessible, i.e. there's a digital token that is appended or identifier that's appended to every digital asset. So something I've been thinking a lot about recently is, and originally when I started this journey, my plan was to build an NFT platform specifically for, or marketplace specifically for female creators. And I think that's well and good. But again, I really personally couldn't think of many NFTs that I would buy from female creators right now. And I was kind of getting the same sentiment from other women. So what I'm really focused on with this community is just, again, the education and like just reframing even the language. Like this is really techie, heavy, confusing stuff. And thankfully I've had the experience and the education and just the general brain I'm a little nerdy and my husband's an engineer. So while I put a lot of work educating myself on all of this, it's really, if you distill it down, it's not fucking complicated. It is, but like, how do we make sure it's not being explained or built by women or for women? And it's not even just women, it's anyone that isn't a, tech, or frankly, that whole community is very tech and or finance bro heavy. And that's a toxic culture. And also like, that's what I've loved so much is the more you get it, because you are much more educated than a lot of women, but one of my favorite things is in all these conversations, when I explain all of this in layman's terms and contextualize it for that specific creator, the moment that you see them light up, because they're like, oh fuck, yeah, that could be super powerful. And yeah, I could use it. You're right, IP, yeah. I'm an up and coming director and producer creating indie films. Yeah, like instead of going and getting institutional capital to fundraise my next indie movie, whatever, like maybe people could invest in me. So yeah, I'd love to keep chatting with you because I think you're the type of woman that is in the space that is thinking very innovatively and building your own future. And that's what I'm trying to build a greater community around. So let's keep chatting, girl.
Yes, I just have one question to ask you. I said you.
Yeah, ask any. Tell me to shut up at any point.
No.
Stop talking.
I love your energy. It was like you said you want to be in a place where you are helping creators make money off of their art and their talent. But I would just want to ask this question, that a reason that a lot of creators don't end up making money directly or only get a percentage of what they should be getting off is because making money is a whole different skill than talent. And I feel like talent is just maybe 20 part of the picture, but 80% is the execution, which a record label might be running for you, like your marketing campaign, like, polishing your image or delivering it to the customer in a different kind of format, because you are actually providing the infrastructure for the talent to be a final product when they're going to the consumer. So even if you do have this community and even if you do have this company which supports a lot of creators, when they're making money and you're the big reason that they're making money, wouldn't you want to keep majority of that percentage because you are providing the infrastructure for the talent to transition into money?
Absolutely. We all need to make money. I believe in capitalism.
Yeah.
In a well-rounded, supportive way. But the first part of this is my passion around empowerment and education and flipping the power dynamic that we see time and time again as it pertains to technology, financial education, etc. for women and underserved groups of people. And because this is such a new emerging space, I think that part of it is very important. I'm less focused on monetization, how I'm making money right now for that component of this business. The other part of it is I don't yet know, because none of us know, what the platform looks like in a way. I know the problem I'm trying to solve, and that's what I'm trying to stay focused on and move with speed and precision and thoughtfulness and not build just to build. But my number one goal is I know where I want to go, but I want to understand with other people, from other women and creators, how do we best solve that problem? and then figure out the monetization. There's a few different ways that the money always comes. But how we do it and the revenue model, that's something I'm trying to be really smart with and again, figure it out as a collective. So is it for example, maybe one of the products is just an NFT creator tool that gives any single creator the ability to go on and mint their digital asset and generate an NFT just so they have it. So just so they have that ownership of that asset if they believe the future is going to be the same as a variation of the future will be the same as my vision. For that, they could pay, a fee to mint it and then a storage fee every month, just like Google Drive for our platform to house their NFT. I could also not do that at all, and it could be a content game. I'm not trying to be in the ad revenue business model because I think that's part of what has caused a lot of the areas of opportunity and areas for improvements around for the creators. But to answer your question in a not very concise way, I'm going to figure, there's a lot of ways to monetize if you build something of value to other people and you're solving a problem. And I have no doubt I'll figure that out as we get closer to figuring out what we're building from a product platform standpoint. But right now, it's just getting women to be excited, part of the conversation, if they want to be, and building, again, some type of collaborative and community environment that we can build a better digital future. That's truly what I'm trying to do. Even if I can, there's even a world, NFTs aside, how do I make your life easier reaching out to 50 women a week? Is there just a place there it's it's a Slack community group and you guys can go on and say I'm looking for women in these industries, insert a DM, and they can direct message you. I'm not saying it's that, but does that answer your question? I kind of answered that in, again, a very long-winded way.
No, I completely get it that monetization is not your focus because you know that the money always comes. The intent and the purpose comes first because you'll figure out the money way, and you have because you've been so competent being in the industry for 10 years, so you already have plenty of experience.
And I have a profitable consulting business. So that's where it's going to be a balance for me, but I've been very strategic with how I've saved, what I've done with this business to support this business, to give myself some extra cash flow and have money to play with, to build it, to figure it out. And then, if I'm going to build a big tech platform, cool, then I'll go out and raise institutional capital, but I'm not going to raise money just to raise money. I don't believe in that. And it's not what I personally want to take on when starting businesses. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but yeah, and I've given myself 3 months. I'm giving myself to the end of the summer to go 100% in on this and see what happens and where we're at. And I have a bit of a runway for money I've saved, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I'm really, really looking forward to how that transitions, and I feel like a lot of women actually need it, that support. And I loved what you said about, sometimes it's spoken about in a way where before I even have the opportunity to be aware, I'm intimidated by it and I run away, because that's how it is communicated. So I think just even saying that out loud makes a huge difference in having that intention. What I want to ask you is, I think you kind of answered it, but what's your story as a person, from when you were born to how you're today?
Oh my gosh, what a good question. My story is how detailed you want me to get? Do you want me to hit the answer, or do you want
Yeah, because real stuff,
This is, again, Gemini through and through. 1 second I'm talking about blockchain, the other second I'm trying to learn astrology and be Deepak. But at this point in my life, I truly believe that we are put on this planet in this specific life to evolve past certain areas that our soul needs us to evolve past to make it to the next tier up, I don't know what that next thing is. I'm not that articulate here or clear on all of this, is anyone. But all that said, I'm really just since I was a little girl, it's just been really important for me to make the most of my time here, lean into things that excite me, that I believe are helping others and making an impact through sharing my unique experiences, my superpowers. And fast forward to now, I put in a lot of work to put myself in the driver's seat, so I can again give it my best effort to build a world for myself and others that I think is making my life and their lives better and leaving this world a little better than how I started here. And I think that's manifested in a lot of different ways, especially now with a little one at home. I'm really focused on just showing up. You see so much with kids, but I think I saw it's the same with leading and having a team, especially as my team got larger and larger. Like, the best leaders and the best parents teach and train and show through osmosis and doing. And so I'm just focused on showing up in the way I feel is most authentic and good to me, and continuing just to grow and adapt and figure it out one day at a time. And again, impart anything that's helpful for me on others if it's going to help them curate the best life or whatever the heck it might be. So that's where I'm at, and it's just taking it one day at a time. Like, life is hard, life is amazing. It's the paradox. It's you can't have the sunniest days without the storm. You can't have the highs without the lows. And for the first time, one thing COVID really helped me become so clear on and aware of. I guess we know it, but like, life is just like the fucking ocean. Like, there's gonna be hard days, but like, I feel it's really nice to accept that that like the sun's gonna come up tomorrow or someday, and like you will persevere. And the harder the shit gets, and the more once you get past it and have those breakthroughs, just the more like holding on to those moments and being like, yes, like I had to go through that fucking really shitty few weeks, and look, and here I am now, and it's gonna happen again. It could happen tomorrow, it could happen in 10 minutes, it could be a month. But just trying to be present and practical and be mindful and just take it one day at a time.
Yeah. I love that. There's this concept I read which is called winter always turns to spring. And are you aware of it?
No, I thought you were going to say, I just finished a book called Wintering, but that's why I got so excited. But I love that, the general. Continue.
So that basically spoke about how in Japan, you have cherry blossoms that blossom in the spring, and they indicate the arrival of spring, but they bloom in the spring precisely because of what they went through in the winter. It's having this inner working, the bud, and if it did not go through the winter, it would never have become a cherry blossom. So one thing's as a matter of fact, that nowhere in the world have we ever seen winter going back to like something else, but winter always turns to spring. So that's a very good analogy, and what you just said kind of reminded me of it, so I brought it up.
Totally. And I think, again, our intellectual minds know these things, but for me, it's back to surrender and like just letting go. I'm more recently, I'm just trying to have more ease and peace and try to be in that flow state as much as possible. And some days it's easier than others, but I think that's one thing COVID, it checked us all a little bit. And just, it didn't matter how much clout you had, how much money you had, how successful you were. We were all in the same place, trapped at home with our own thoughts. And I always say that I think there's two types of people that are going to come out of this experience. One are people that are going to be they're not going to be great. They're going to be struggling after all this because they didn't do any of the work. And the others that were like, okay, I'm stuck home. I'm going to like sit with my thoughts and put in the work. And I think those people are going to come out stronger and be the people that kind of shape this new norm. And I was trying to be on that side of things. So we'll see. The verdict's out, my friend. But
and you said you're a mom now. So how is that for you now? Because being a woman and being your own person and then being a mom, so you fill in a very different role. How's that for you as a woman, being a mom?
So I'm getting my footing. I am in a very good place now. I will say it was one of the hardest transitions for me. I don't think enough people talk about how much you lose, at least me and from my conversations with the women that I'm closest with in my orbit, it really changes your whole identity. It's, I went from being a successful professional, like work was my identity. I didn't even realize it until then. I had this little guy that was on the way, and I had to take time off and deal with all the emotions of like not working for 3 months, and then having this little human that, it just changes so much of your world for the better. But it's a transition, and it takes time, and your hormones are fucking through all wacky. No one told me, for example, I thought I was like figured it out. I went back to work at probably 4 months, 5 months. I was like, oh my God, I got this. And then I stopped breastfeeding, and my hormones I didn't deal with, thankfully, any extreme postpartum, but like then I was back in a low place, and like it gets lonely at times. And so I hope that that's another thing for like, especially during COVID, one of the hardest things is being a solo entrepreneur the first year, and that was happening during COVID, is you touched on this, like I finally have hired this amazing girl, but I miss people and conversations and collaboration and community. I always had that in the orbit of offices and these amazing places I worked. But I've been really seeking a better, different digital community. It's, this is lovely, but it's more one-on-one. And I've just found that the current digital environment, there's an opportunity to disrupt the current digital environment as it pertains to community for women. I think we're all like, it's good enough, but how do we connect women more and make sure that people aren't feeling lonely when they're going through that time, or you have someone that you're comfortable with if you don't have an older sister or mom or someone that like has gone through it, being like, okay, well, I think I want kids. Like, I didn't even know if I wanted kids. I had no one. My son was a little bit of an accident, like, which was, I was freaking fucking out. And I want to try to make sure that everyone has someone that they can talk to or something they can listen to just get these different perspectives, because we're just living in just a world of constant change with, again, so much access and information that it's amazing and it's powerful, but I think it's making it really, it brings challenges for us all too. So, but motherhood, now that I'm again, it is the best part about motherhood for me. There's so many amazing things, but one of the things that I'm the most grateful for as it pertains to my personal transformation is it truly forces you to be present, especially the older they get. Like I never was between 5 and 7 after work. Like I was always looking at this. And now I'm like, all right, no, phone's gonna stay in the other room. And I'm gonna be with this guy. It also like it puts things in perspective. So you're like, cool, I could be stressed about this client, but also like I could just be with my child right now. I don't give a fuck, actually. This 2-year-old's way cuter than that stupid client.
Yeah, I love that. And what were you the most excited about, like teaching your child? This is this whole nother human that's an extension of you. Like, was that a surreal feeling?
Oh yeah, it's so wild. It's like the wildest experience ever. For probably 6 months after childbirth, to anyone that would listen, I'd be like, yo, I know women have been doing this for years, and I always thought women were powerful, but shit, we are fucking superhuman. Like, it's so crazy. Our bodies are designed to do it, and it's hard. And like, I think as women living in this current day and age, we have more agency and power and control than ever before, but we're also navigating having so much on our plate and having to show up everywhere for everyone, and that's not sustainable. And I'm glad more and more women are talking about it, but like, you don't have to do you have your makeup done, be a boss in the boardroom, be an amazing mother, have dinner on the table, be wanting to get freaky with your husband every night, like things. We can't. Women never lived. No one ever lived. Men have never had to keep up all those appearances and have all those balls in the air. And women before us didn't need to either. So I get it's like, how do you give people and women specifically the tools and the knowledge and the confidence to get really clear on who they are, what their definition of success is, and what their definition of happiness is, and then help them figure out how to build whatever that is for them. If it's a stay-at-home mom, that's the hardest job on the motherfucking planet. I literally don't know how people do it. Like it's the hardest. Or if you want to be a conductor, like I don't give a fuck, but like I just want to give every women, again, whatever they need to figure that out. And because that's the journey I've been on, and that's where I'm finding my life feel better and more successful based on my definition of those things.
I loved that answer. What you just said encompassed everything that women are expected to do. Like you said, be a boss in the boardroom, put dinner on the table, be there for your man, or, be a mother, and be all these different things. And you might be just good at two, but you expect it to show up at all. It's really hard, but you will not even have guidance. You're just thrown in the play field and you're like, go fight. So that's really surreal. But
that piece of advice that I got from Mary Kate, actually, who was the chief content officer at GMG, that years ago, I don't even know if she probably won't watch this, maybe she does, but I share it and I use it often when I'm feeling, when I need to tap into it. She said to me, she had just had her second, and I was like, I didn't have babies, and I was probably 26, 27. I was like, Mary Kate, I don't know how you do this. Like, how? You have to go home and be a mom right now? Like, we had just the craziest day. She's like, you just figure it out. And I always remind myself, there's days that I'm going to be an A+ friend and a C- leader and a B+ wife and a D mom. But the next day I might be an A+ mom and an A+ career woman and, a C friend or whatever. You got the gist of the essence of it. But it's true. And that's where just being kinder, and I think we all can be kinder and more compassionate to ourselves. And that's something I work on every day, is you hold yourself to such high standards. Like, I'm not going to sit here. Maybe I started at one point. The less evolved Dayna would have lost sleep over it. I've been like, oh my God, I said that one bad thing. Whereas 99% of what I said might have been great, or it could have brought value to one person. And that's truly all that matters, but we're so critical on ourselves.
I know. Have you ever thought about just making content, and you have so many gems that, people can learn from. So did you ever think, flipping your phone and recording?
I try. I've been working through whatever my relationship is with content and putting myself out there. Is it an insecurity? Is it a time thing? Ultimately, I'm trying to show up more because I do think there's things of value and put myself out there more. Yeah. But it's hard. It's what I'm learning, the more I go into my own energy levels and just kind of the more of a hippie I become and really believe that energy is everything. I believe energy is everything. The thing that's a little tricky for me is last week I was so busy with client work. I was busy with work. I didn't want to be putting myself out there. I didn't want to be on this device. And this week I have felt much more, I've been having a different week and I've been doing a lot more content, sharing stuff. And that's a hard way to build a content business or a brand. So this isn't an answer. I have thought about it a lot. I want to lean into it because I believe, again, there's things that can help other people, but navigating the balance there has been tricky. And starting to build out a team is really helpful. This girl has changed my entire life. She's so wonderful. She is organizing all of that, making sure I have content stuff on my calendar, just stuff that I wasn't prioritizing. So we'll see. It's a work in progress. I'm thinking about, I'm in the early stages of starting just with a YouTube channel, more for unblocked stuff that will eventually turn into a podcast. But I'm also I like this. I'd much rather do this type of stuff and it be a fluid conversation than just talking to the screen. That just is a little more of I flow more. So we'll say, but
same. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you want to chat, I'm willing to chat. Maybe I can just get some snackable content from it.
I was actually just thinking about it. What helps me really, the perspective is, when I'm perfect, when I'm feeling myself, it's a great time to make content. But also when I'm not feeling like myself, I look stupid, I'm having a bad hair day, anything I'm saying is not making any sense. I had a really funny podcast where the person really didn't connect to me and it was so cold. I felt like it's important to put it out there because someone might see and be like, oh my God, you're so polished, kind of unrelatable. But when they see me showing up on the bad days as well, that is something that's relatable. And the reason I have bad days is you can see this. So when Gary always says it, document, don't create. Just record exactly what's happening, not caring about anything. That perspective is liberating on so many levels. Like, I'm going to put my phone here for 1 minute. I'm going to say anything. What is one thing today? Was it something about work? What is something about being a mom? And I just shared, like today, I'm not proud of myself for being a mom, but I killed it in the boardroom. That 2 sentences can empower someone, and someone, like, I just really needed to hear that, and that will make me liberated.
And that, yes, you nailed it. And I think back to your question as it pertains to me, like, I believe with all of me, everything that you just said. In fact, that's the advice that I give to every client that I work with. That's the most successful marketing campaigns, brand identities, etc. is authenticity and putting every part of you out there. But that's where it's been very hard for me to do it for some reason. And I don't know. I've just been trying to figure it out. Is it some old patterns and insecurity? But and that's another reason. Life happens. The universe delivers exactly when it is things exactly when it's meant to, I believe. And you reached out at such an interesting time because I am trying to practice what I preach more in that sense. And here we are. And I literally couldn't have enjoyed chatting with you more. I would really love to stay in touch.
100%.
Yeah. Send me, and I'm not rushing you. We can, of course, keep chatting, but I don't want to take too much of your time. But yeah, send me those job descriptions.
I will. I actually want to ask you, because I love you so much, and you just being so nice builds my confidence up and helps me massively in the long term. So what I want to offer you is, why don't you just record a clip of yourself for 1 minute talking about anything at all, okay? Maybe I'm just going to ask you a question and I'm anyway going to make a clip of it. But this is going to be more of like a desktop Skype view where the camera quality is not as polished. But then that's just how I like to roll. I think it's really raw. But for your channel, why don't you record a 1 minute clip of talking about anything at all? I'm going to put up like the sticker with the captioning and everything and send it in a very like final product way to you, like how Gary does it. And see how you look in that professional setting with captions on, with a great caption, like what is that called, heading on, memes happening in the background, and especially reels. They get stupid amount of attraction. They're like TikTok, and TikTok is banned in India, so we play on reels. Once you see what you do and you see the reaction of women, that is something that's just gonna boost your confidence. I'm not that your confidence should depend on other people's things.
Totally. No, it's so, yeah, I will definitely send you some stuff but feel free to also I know this is not vertical video, but like feel free, if you feel like you can make some of this footage work to do that, that would be awesome, just because the rest, I don't want to hold things up, and I love this so much because I just appreciate jab, right hook, baby, But I'm also old. I'm getting old. I'm not old, but like I had my first I'm old moment. I was trying to create a reel a few weeks ago, and I'm not joking, my friend, almost 2 hours. I was like YouTubing like how to add music, and that's where I was like, I gotta and I've worked with so many people. You guys, so I would love again like your skill set. Let's start there, but I'm going to be looking for definitely a lot of content peeps over the next few months if things keep going to plan. So let's keep chatting, like I said.
It's very wrong of you to say that you're old, okay? When you would say I'm 34.
No, I'm just making fun of myself. It was that first moment where I was like, I just remember like until that moment I was like, what is wrong with these like older people? They can't like Google how to use TikTok. And then I was sitting there like, I'm Googling it and it still isn't looking like this everyone else is.
All of us struggle with it initially, it's just something foreign to you, but it's just that the more you practice, the more you get accustomed to it. So not that you're old, you're just early in the process.
No, I know. It's also like, there's only so many hours in the day, and
so many times your brain is going to register it. So, you have to say that you're young.
No, please. I am young and I have no issues with aging. I actually I loved my time in life in college, in my 20s. I wouldn't go back, but I love this moment, so I know I'm not old, I'm just messing, but But yeah, I love the other thing I've really enjoyed about our convo is back to culture and building teams. Like I have one of my number one intents with whatever my businesses are is I really want to try to build a magical culture that lifts up other women and is designed in a way that we are supporting each other and that we love coming to work every day and we're all building something magical as a collective. And I have that essence and I know I can feel it almost, but I'm not there yet because I need to keep making money to hire people and growing, but I get really jazzed whenever I talk to people that could be a part of that. And it's a pure energy thing, honestly. And you certainly have that. So I'm so happy the internet connected us and I look forward to continuing chatting about stuff.
100%. I have like these 4 questions to ask you, which I want to ask really quickly. I want to ask you first, what are the kind of people you like working with the most?
I like working the most with people that are kind and don't take themselves too seriously and are hard workers and really, really live for making things better and not accepting the status quo. I like disrupting things and I like innovation, not for the sake of disruption or innovation, but because there might be a better way to do something or a better way to build something to solve a problem. So that mindset are the type of people, coupled with kindness, hard worker, and just having fun and not taking themselves too seriously.
But when you would look at someone's resume and you would look at someone's cover letter, what are the key things that you're trying to pick up and recognize in people that make you hire?
I truly don't actually. The resume, I've hired a lot of people. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds across different roles and functions. And I would say I've looked at 70% of resumes. Like I just don't, they get you in the door and of course it depends on the role. And I think references are very important, but for me, it's kind of like social media in a lot of ways. People are curating what they want you to see. They give you the references that they know are going to give you a good, tell you what you want to hear. So for me, it's really important to talk to that person and just have a fluid conversation, ask them questions that are relevant to the function of the role itself and the culture of the company that you're hiring them into. And I always say to everyone that I interview, it's truly just as important to me that you're the right fit for me and my team in this company, as is that we're the right fit for you and who you are. Because there's people that should work in corporate America and have that structure. That's maybe not best for me, but it might be what's best for you. And you're going to bomb at a startup where you need to wear a million hats, but I might thrive. So just figuring that out.
So I was wondering, would you have any advice for me in terms of like I applied to Vayner and just even hearing back from them for the first round made me just believe in myself even more. But I was just really wanting to get my foot in the door because I genuinely believe if I don't know if they're right people or not, but if people recognize me for who I am, I feel like I'll give it my all because at this time I'm just so desperate to work and show exactly what I'm made of. But I was afraid that it might not show up as a talent, but on my talent would be who I've developed as a human being and how hard I'd work and the mind that I've cultivated. So how do you think I can play on that?
So I think you're doing all the right things. I would continue to meet people, connect with people, bring value to your audience and to people like me. I'm not hiring right now, but you're doing all the right things. I could build an X billion-dollar company, and by this one small action that you offered to do, it could change everything for you in a year and 5 years. I would keep applying for companies that are going to, I think the 2 things I'd keep in mind as you interview for places. One, at a company like Vayner, don't take it personally or insulting at all, and don't get insulted or make it about you if you don't hear back, even after down the line. There's the hiring manager's niece could have needed a job and that's the only reason you didn't hear back, or maybe you weren't the right fit, whatever. It's a big organization, and a lot of hiring is a very, very cumbersome full-time thing with a lot of managers. If you don't have a recruitment arm, it's an area of stress for me because it's a lot of work in addition to whatever your day-to-day job is. The other is I would imagine from everything you're doing, and you're going to keep going more down this path, are very multifaceted and dynamic. So I would make sure you're applying for roles that are going to continue allow you to creatively flex all these different muscles and skills, from editing to preparing for a podcast, to preparing the interview questions, to creating social content, to thinking about the distribution and the growth funnel of said content or whatever initiative. Especially given you're a bit young, those roles are a lot of roles are gonna be your day-to-day is gonna be a bit more niche, but just something to keep in mind, because you want to continue to do all the things you're doing. And I think you're on a good path. Like, you're so hungry to work, but like, you're living in a time where you don't have to be you can actually probably get more work, given that location is moot after COVID, and that everyone is trying to create content, leverage the internet to build their personal brand. Like, even for my consulting business, like, there's projects where I would want to learn more about your day-to-day and your skills, but like, there's times I need to bring in a junior marketer or content creator for said client for 3 months. Like, maybe you try to do those types of client-based projects or work and see where that goes. So I would just stay open-minded and don't get discouraged. The hiring process is long and cumbersome for everyone. And again, I think you're doing all the right things.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. The next question I wanted to ask you is, what is your biggest challenge currently, personally and professionally?
My biggest challenge personally, my professional and personal lives are so interconnected right now, but I would say my biggest challenge the last few weeks, and I'm making progress, has been figuring out what support looks like and getting that support in these areas that I know I need it. I've had so much going on. I have one business, I'm launching another. I have a little one at home, like all the things that everyone, one of my biggest pet peeves in this world is people that say they're busy, just because like we're all busy, but I'm basically saying that. But no, I'm thankful that I have a husband who is a partner, and we tag team every part of our lives. A lot of women don't even have that support, but it's just the definite, I've needed what support looks like and where I need it has just, it changed so much after becoming a mom and as I've continued to go deeper into my entrepreneur journey. And there's just things that like, I always say that I find myself in life, there's these times that I kind of like wake up and I notice that I'm giving the same advice to different people across different areas of my life. And usually it's when I stop and have this aha, I realize the advice that I need deeply at that moment. And so that's where I've just been looking to like, who is it? What are those areas? One of them is like, I always tell clients, you got to spend money to make money. But when it's your own business, I have money in the bank, I could hire someone, but like, I don't know, do I want to should I put it in savings? Could I be using it for something else? So trying to just be honest with myself and get clear on, again, where do I need to receive a bit more, and just putting it out there saying, I need more support on content. I need to figure out someone that can help pick up my son a few days a week because my husband and I can't. And putting it out there and just surrendering and trusting that I will be able to receive it. It will come back into my life. And it's honestly, it's been working. I really with every day that I become get more into like the woo-woo world, I'm like, shit, man, we're living on. Maybe we can't become superhuman. I don't know. Like, don't tell me the world is not connected and we're not like made of stardust, because manifestation, I think if you can get to the right energetics or vibrational frequency, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. The world's crazy.
But on that note, if you have any of your biggest challenges, do you have people in the professional world you can just call up and ask like, hey, I'm kind of stuck. What should I go right or left?
Yes, but I think that's another area. It's changed a little. I've always been really grateful that I've had mentors and people I can tap into that were really perfect for me. They were exactly who and what I needed at that moment in my career or life. And they are still all people I can tap into, but I've really I set out on a journey to get really clear on who I am and what I want, and decided to jump off the fucking deep end and give a go at building it. And I'm now probably who knows, I don't know what the end point is, but I'm now in it. And because I'm building something so unique to me, it has been this ties into support. It has been trickier to know the right people to tap into to get that advice, because I found that sometimes when I do, they're wonderful and they give great advice, but their experiences are so different. So I have also been looking, and I'm part of a lot of like female entrepreneur groups, and like have women friends that have started companies. So I thankfully have those people I can go to, but it's not always apples to apples. And that goes back to I'm reminding myself that like I have the tools I need. It's all with me, and it doesn't mean you don't get advice from people, etc., and lean on people, but being a bit more comfortable knowing that like it's not affirmation from someone else. It's not, and I'm also at a very different point in my, like I have 10 years on you, so this was not always my MO on all of this, but so yes, I do, but I've been trying to get more comfortable going inward when I need some of those answers, and I'm finding success with that, honestly. The more confident and comfortable I can get with myself and this path that I'm on right now.
I wish you best of luck. I think you're such an amazing human being, and I have no doubt.
That's what I told you. We got to stay in touch.
100%.
I thought I was hiring you for content. No, seriously, please send me the GMG jobs. I'll definitely send them to my peeps. And
a resume and the application I applied for.
Yeah, send me. Yeah, and also feel free if you send me some of your. Let's start there. And once I get more clear on like exactly. So you're looking for like podcast specifically, video editing, content creation.
I applied for a creator role, but okay. I also worked as a product manager at a textile business where I was helping them with their website, with the back end. I just realized that any task I was given, even if I did not know how is it exactly done, I educated myself on my way back home and I executed on it perfectly the next day. This is something I learned while being, in a workplace physically. That was before COVID, actually last year. So I really believe in myself like that. Like all of this editing and podcast, all of this was self-taught. So I believe like any role I'm given, I promise I'll just show up. But
I have no doubt. And I think we're cut from the same cloth. And that's kind of back to some of the advice I was giving on as you go through the process. Like that is one of your superpowers. I promise. I found my PureWow. I was like, I know all these things. Like we live in the time of the internet. I can figure out anything. Like I can't wear a lot of hats. I just want an opportunity to learn and grow and figure it out. And I know I can prove myself if I get my foot in the door. That will come. But just you're more of an anomaly. Like you're the asset for these companies versus the flip side. I truly believe that, because most people, like anyone, like not everyone is. Resourceful is another thing that is a huge something that I look for anyone on my team. Nothing annoys me more when I'm like, just fucking Google it. I don't know the answer either. Google it. Like, hello. So, but feel free to look at my LinkedIn if there's anyone at companies. A lot of those people I don't have one-to-one connections with. But like, if you're like, hey Dayna, like, so do you know Amy at Bustle? Like, there's this job. If I know them and have a close relationship, I will certainly reach out. But send me your resume. I hopefully will have some work for you too as things progress. Like I said, Unblocked is very early stage, but we're going to be launching and we're hoping to do a lot of really exciting things. So. From what I've seen today, you're certainly the type of person that I'm looking to build to my team, whether across both businesses. So I thank you for this opportunity. I would love to stay in touch, like I said. And if you do create anything for me, I have no pressure, but I'm excited to see it.
I will chop down cool Instagram clips, and I'm going to send you one of them so you can post them on your story, on your profile and stuff, whatever you like. And I'll share them with my audience, and that can be a little collaboration.
So is this, once you'll edit the whole episode, is it living on all the podcast channels? Will you post it on YouTube? So send me the links when it's all up.
I will.
So I can share them and also
on YouTube. And then we have contextual clips to, for LinkedIn, for Instagram, and for Facebook, and that's how.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you. And I can't wait to see everything. It was so lovely meeting you, and enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you saying yes. And I really look forward to everything that we create in the future. I will, on your email that you shared with me, I'll share all my details with you over there. Okay.
Thank you, my friend. We will talk soon.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.